so many things in diet culture. There will be an element of like something valid, and diet culture will just run it through the ground and create these kind of claims and fear, and in response to that, programs and supplements to sell those based on that like little bit of evidence that then gets like just taken and over focused on. You can miss the forest for the trees so much in diet culture. Hi folks, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. My name is Kat. I'm a licensed registered dietitian nutritionist, and on this channel I like to talk about weight inclusive and weight nutri-focused approaches to health, as well as diving into scammy and, in my opinion, unethical nutrition related businesses, products, mostly nutrition related MLMs, and other fear-mongering nutrition related claims. Now in this video we are talking about an overview of Beachbody, which is now BODi. It has been for a while, but people still know it as Beachbody. We are talking about their new program called Belle Vitale. Now this is going to be the first of multiple videos regarding this program. I have so much information regarding this program, primarily not for myself, but I want to give a huge shout out to Jen, and I'll leave all of her information linked down below. She has done so much work in gathering information, talking about information, sharing about information about this program and some of the concerns around it. And I appreciate her so much. That's where I've gotten most of my information from. I've also gotten it so much from the viewer Caitlin. I appreciate everybody sharing just this information with me. But with all of this information, I have a lot to say. And today we're primarily focusing on the overview of what it is, what the program is, what my initial thoughts are about it, as well as some screenshots around that. And then I want to do more of videos. I have so many videos that I have so much to say about, and I'll be doing video reactions in another following video. Now, it never fails whenever I do an overview or I do a review of a multi-level marketing product or company, I will have people, distributors mostly, in the comments talking about how I'm very biased and it's not a good review because I haven't even tried the product or been a part of the company. And I want to say that there is going to be some inherent bias because I am not a supporter of the multi-level marketing structure for many reasons. Primarily because the focus is on recruitment in a structure that is not sustainable. The primary income is from people who have been sold an opportunity to own their own business, to create financial freedom, when that is not the case. That is not the outcome per the company's income disclosure statements. And the people at the top of the pyramid primarily getting their income from their downline rather than from customers. The downline themselves essentially are the customers. The people who are owning their own business are the customers. So there is that point. And also, I am not a supporter of Beachbody in general. I have not been, because of the focus on practices that, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many other people who help people implement practices and actions that support their physical health, we have seen a lot of the outcome working with people who have left things like Beachbody, and the work that is put into rebuilding their self-trust with their body, learning to build and strengthen a healthy relationship with food, and leaving behind a lot of this kind of behaviors that don't really support a healthy relationship with food. And even for the fact that, like, with the nutrition side of Beachbody, using Shakeology all the time and the recommendations surrounding that, especially the claims coming from many of the distributors being a little bit excessive, and the idea that like you have to have that daily, that there's no nutrition product that everybody needs to have or that will work with everybody. I use various protein powders, but that's not something that I'm going to recommend to everybody, and even myself, I don't use them daily. It's within the context, and so many different factors play a role in that. And so all or nothing kind of dieting programs, like we have seen and discussed on this channel with the 21-day shred and the other programs that have come from that or come after that, it's a lot of claims about how this is the best program and this is going to, change everything. But then couple years down the line, there is a new program. There is a new set of supplements. It's always, this thing is going to fix everything, but then it doesn't. And then as far as the arguments of, I haven't tried it, so I can't give a review on it. I don't have to necessarily try something in order to have an educated opinion on it. I will sometimes have people use certain supplements and that I have not personally consumed. An example that I like to use is a doctor using a specific kind of medication for a patient of theirs. That doctor doesn't have to personally try the medication in order to know that that is the most appropriate and helpful plan of action for that patient. Being a registered dietitian, especially one with a clinical background, I don't have to try the plan of care myself in order to be able to help someone with that. I've done so many tube feed orders. I don't personally have to be on a tube feed in order to know how to calculate it and how to choose the best one for someone. I do a lot of work in digestive health, and I have a variety of people who I see within digestive health, and there are so much differences in there, and the spectrum of that, there are going to be some supplements that I might recommend to some and some that I would not ever recommend to others. And you don't have to try every single one of those to have those recommendations as a nutrition practitioner. Just jumping in here really quick to talk about my Unlock Nutrition and Food Freedom community. This is a place, there's a lot of stuff going on in there. The goal of the overall community is to build and strengthen a healthy relationship with food, really implementing the skills around approaching food with curiosity, compassion, and context to support physical health while also not harming those other aspects of health that we talk about: mental, social, emotional well-being. So with that looks like daily prompts that support that you can use for just kind of thinking throughout the day or for journaling. There's also weekly nourishing recipes. There's a monthly nutrition Ask Me Anything or AMA. There's a monthly group seminar kind of coaching thing. There's not a lot of people in there, so it's mostly a seminar. And I also added for every member, they have the opportunity to get a 60-minute initial consult with me, and then they can do a follow-up 2 or 3 weeks later. And that's really where we can kind of create a more personalized plan of care that they can then just use and start implementing alongside everything else in there. And then there's also follow-up quarterly check-ins, all one-on-one. Now, again, this is perfect for anybody who's wanting to build a healthy relationship with food, who has been wanting to step away from toxic dieting behaviors and diet culture, but also at the same time still want to support their health, their physical health, without harming those other aspects of health. So when I was making this, I also wanted to make it as accessible as I could. And so I have priced it at $11 a month or $120 for the full year. If you have any concerns about that, feel free to reach out to me. I'm pretty flexible. I can work with people, but I just wanted to create a space that is supportive of having a healthy relationship with food and just making that as accessible as I can. So if you're interested, check out the link in the description box down below, and let's get back to this video. So with all that being said, let's go. So the program overall, it is described as a comprehensive 12-week program that's a hormone health focused program, and it includes a nutrition guide, recipes, portion control containers, nutrition video content. There are stress management and breathing exercises within there, which that's great. But then there's also 2 new supplements. Now, when I was gathering my information for this video, I do not know the ingredients in those supplements, and so that's another reason why I will continue to create updates on this program in particular, but there are those 2 supplements. Now, at the time of this recording, we still have several months before this goes live, and my goal with creating this video and creating further videos down the line is just to create more information coming from the perspective of a registered dietitian, someone who does work with people on a daily basis, one-on-one, to support their just healthy hormone status. Now, that is another side thing. Let's talk about that really quick. So when you're talking about a hormone-based program, there's a lot to unpack there, because hormones can be anything from hunger hormones, right? So if we're having meals that are generally going to include a variety of macronutrients, we have protein, fats, carbohydrates, with fiber on the plate, that can support your fullness hormones a little bit differently than how another meal or snack might. Hormones can also be related to working with diabetes and the hormones surrounding insulin and glucagon. Hormones can also be something like cortisol, which that is a huge topic that a lot of people on social media are talking about right now. I think it's one of the trending things in nutrition and wellness. Now, at the same time, we can also look at hormones in the sense of hormone replacement therapy, things that really require having a medical professional who is experienced and knowledgeable in that specific area to be part of the plan of care team. And so that's really where some of my concerns come into play. What my initial question was, what part of hormones are they talking about first off? But really the promotion of broad claims of a program supporting hormone health. Like hormones itself, they are complex. It is individualized too. There's not going to be a program that is hormone focused that is going to work for everyone or that is recommended for everyone to have. That's not where we're at right now. Everybody is individual in their hormone needs. And while you can have a program that on a foundational level supports wellness, health in general, some of the promotion around it, especially from distributors, I think that's where a lot of my concern lies. Not I think, but that's where a lot of my concern lies. Because ultimately hormones should be, if you are looking for like a hormone replacement therapy, those hormones really need to be assessed and addressed by healthcare professionals, monitored with qualified healthcare professionals. Like even if you're using, like you can buy over the counter like progesterone creams and different things, and that really scares me because how are you testing your progesterone? How do you know that you need it? Do you know the time of the month, like where that would be appropriate and recommended? Like that side of things just scares me because of the impact, because of the like possible negative side effects of that. And I have some examples of some claims that we'll talk about from distributors making claims that are unsubstantiated. That's part of the typical kind of multi-level marketing structure as far as like selling. Yes, we can see it outside of MLM, but that's one of the main concerns that I have with MLM, because the goal is to make those sales from people who are not healthcare professionals, who some of them are, but people who sign up, they're like 18 years or older, they pay the fee to sign up, and they can then recommend these specific kind of health related programs and sell them off of either fear-based marketing or using their testimonials, which is anecdotal evidence, right? And so they can kind of take things and run with it to make unsubstantiated claims. I have examples, but ultimately, like my first concerns about this is that hormone health is so complex. And it should be part of a comprehensive plan developed by your healthcare team. On the flip side, we also have to recognize, at least where I live in the United States, that healthcare is often a challenge for people to get quality healthcare, to get healthcare seen even. I have experience with this. When I was waiting for a specialist, I had to wait several months in order to see them, and that was one of the most frustrating things. There's also the concern of cost and just the overall accessibility of quality healthcare. This is one of the reasons why I don't like to focus on individual distributors as much as I'd like to focus on like some of the stuff that is said from distributors, but most of the focus and concern being put on the company, because there is a reason why people are going to these kind of programs, utilizing these kind of programs, and it is partially because of the state of accessible or lack of accessibility to quality healthcare. And so I want to make that very clear that this is not to put the blame on people who are looking for a way to support their hormone health. At that same time, I think this can be used to exploit that issue, that very issue and that concern that people have. And so it's pulling more people into an unsustainable business model, unsubstantiated claims, potentially, and an unhealthy relationship with food. And that's one of the goals of my channel, is to talk about this, to share about this, not to put blame on the people who fall victim to things like this, but just to bring awareness to that, because those people deserve quality healthcare, and I recognize the challenges and the issues of them getting that. That does not mean that I'm going to support a program like this or support Beachbody and the 21-day fix and, things of that nature, because that does not address the root of the problem. And I think the more that people put their focus and their beliefs and things into a program like this, that is ultimately that's not working, because it can't work. It is a one-size-fits-all kind of program. And with health, we can't do that. That is not evidence-based. Now, sometimes another kind of comment that I get on my videos when I focus in on a specific company or program is that people say like, well, this helped me. I feel so much better on it. My lab values are better, like all of this kind of stuff. First off, I'm so happy that those people have found just benefits from that in some way. I'll also say that, that's their experience, anecdotal evidence, right? We don't know what else is also going on. I use this example sometimes, but I remember I was talking to someone who started a keto diet, and they were sharing how they had so much more energy, they were feeling so much more full, and we were talking specifically about how they start their day and how they were currently starting their day. They were eating like eggs and sausage, and they were getting some veggies in there, some like greens, and overall they were feeling great. They were feeling more energized, like they felt physically better. They felt like they had more energy for the like morning time. And so I asked them, what were you doing before? And before that, they were eating 1 to 2 bowls of just a traditional kind of breakfast cereal. And so when I heard that, my first thought was like, yeah, that is going to, if that's all that person is going to eat, they're probably going to get, a little bit of energy, but not have that sustainable energy. That can be part of a breakfast that can provide, some more sustainable energy. But I would first address that meal itself rather than throwing them into something like keto, right? Like there are ways that there's a spectrum and we can go from only having 1 to 2 bowls of a traditional kind of breakfast cereal. Let's see if we can add some eggs to that. Let's see if we can add, you can still have even the chicken sausage with that. Or we can maybe one day try to have some oatmeal or some toast or something else. And we can move on that spectrum to providing a meal that is nourishing and that they're getting what their body needs to feel good and to feel energized and to support their digestion and everything. For me, if I were to just go from eating that to eating a meal that is what they changed to, I would feel better as well. And so my question is, sometimes when I see these people who have these experiences, my question is, well, what were they doing before? Were you even like eating regularly before? Were you having regular fruits and vegetables? Were you getting enough fiber? Were you getting enough protein, fats even, right? And so we don't have that information. So if you're doing this, you're going to be more intentional into what you're eating. So is it really the program or is it that? Same thing with like physical activity. What were they doing before? Were they really building their positive food voices and listening to those in a way that supported their health, their physical health, or were they like not? Because you can do like just pick any program. If you have not been focused on your health in any way, shape, or form, you're probably going to feel a little bit better. At least for the time being. That's not what is most important though. What is most important though is how that is impacting you long term. Is it something that is sustainable? Is it building a healthy relationship with food, a healthy relationship with your body, not just in the moment, but long term? Because I have worked, again, this is anecdotal evidence, but I have worked with so many people who have like experienced positive within Beachbody, within things like even Optavia, and felt good during the time, but afterwards, that was the issue. And that's what my argument always comes down to, is what happens after. And it's not so much to say, like, I've also heard the argument of people saying, well, yeah, of course you have to maintain that, just like you brush your teeth every day and things like that. But there's a difference between having to brush your teeth every day, being able to have the freedom of choosing your toothpaste, choosing your toothbrush, choosing, all of that, versus being stuck to a specific company, paying them monthly. You can have a healthy relationship with food without having to be part of an MLM structure. That is that food freedom. That is what's important to me and what I want to help people with, and just show them, let them know like that is possible. And locking yourself into something like a multi-level marketing diet program, health program, there are so many other options. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what I can find information-wise on the nutrition plan. So the nutrition plan is structured into 3 phases. I'm not sure exactly what the phases are. The 3 phases makes me wonder if it's an elimination and then a kind of testing and then like the beyond phase after that. And each of those phases are 4 weeks. that typically when I hear 3 phases, there's some kind of elimination and then a testing phase and then the implementation after that for more long-term, but I don't know exactly what it is. I'll get back to you on that. It's described as a way of supporting healthy blood sugar levels and insulin sensitivity. That's what we want to have with a nutrition program. That's the approach or the reasoning behind having like the plate method, even having the carbohydrates, the fiber dense carbohydrates, proteins, and then having like the vegetables or fruits on the other half, having a source of fats in there as well. That is also going to support blood sugar levels and insulin sensitivity. There's so many things that we can do with that. Sleep, activity, stress, that all plays a role as well. And so this is not like a revolutionary type thing that some of the advertising around it seems to be like suggesting that it is. That is like, that's surface level. Overall, from what I find, it's like low in carbs and added sugars while prioritizing high fiber, plant-rich foods that are gut friendly, so digestive health friendly. And then there's intermittent fasting. I think that is also implemented in there. So again, not something that is groundbreaking. If you generally follow like the plate method, you can do that without this. I wanted to also talk about the idea of food neutrality. So within the approach that I use, a lot of dietitians use, a lot of nutrition coaches use, is just the approach of food with neutrality and really taking food off of the good, bad kind of list and approaching it with just curiosity, compassion, and context. And that allows us to choose foods. That's not to say that foods are the same, like nutritionally equivalent wise, but they're morally, like they're neutral. And we're choosing based on a whole variety of things, including how the food makes us feel and how we want to feel, what the goal of that meal is. Is it to get you ready for doing a heavy deadlift, or is it getting you ready to sit and work in front of a computer and you need it to keep you energized and focused? And so there are ways to approach food that is supportive of physical health that don't require like good or bad lists and things like that. And that is also going to be in alignment with meals and snacks that are supportive of those hormone levels that they're talking about, blood sugar level wise and insulin sensitivity wise, and also digestive friendly and digestive supportive. I guess my main question is like, there's only so much that we can do with nutrition and hormone health, that if you are approaching food in a way that is recommended, right, in a way that I even encourage people to approach food, then you're going to already be supportive of your hormone health as much as we can. If you need more, then that's when you would seek out the additional healthcare team for hormone replacement therapy or any other kind of extra support that you need from testing and the management of that and the following up with that. So it's just like, I can understand wanting to support your hormone health, but that is already going to be part of approaching food in a healthy way. And when I say health, I mean physical, but also not harmful, of mental, social, emotional well-being. And you can do that in a sustainable way too. The claims that are being made around programs like this, that is the biggest concern for me. That's the frustrating part as someone in this space, because I see the exploitation that can be done from people making these claims and people selling this kind of dream. So going back to the supplements a little bit, there's a daily hormone and stress support, and there's also a daily metabolism and blood sugar support. Now, when we're talking about daily hormone and like stress support and metabolism, blood sugar support, like the use of supplements for those, there can be a place in time for supplements in various areas in the body needed. Like that is pretty, I don't know if rare is the right word, but it's not as needed as what I think many people think that it is needed. Like Shakeology, for example, there are so many protein helpful like supplements that are much more like lower in cost, that are high quality. Sometimes people are very much against like meal replacement kind of shakes. In reality, it's nuanced. There is a time and a place where they can be helpful, where they might make sense and can still be part of a healthy relationship with food. It's definitely not an all or nothing kind of thing. I am not an all or nothing kind of thing when it comes to nutrition. there's nuance. But like, for example, the Shakeology itself, there are some distributors who will really recommend that people use that like every day. And that's not needed for having a nourishing intake. And they have a new version of Shakeology. They use words like superfoods, things like that to attract customers. Like you could just get a pea protein if you wanted a plant-based protein, or you could get a whey protein. There's so many options out there, and we can add things to make it a little bit more. If you need more carbohydrates, we can, add some stuff to make it a little bit more balanced, whatever, that person needs. And like that versus the cost of something like Shakeology, it's just not worth it in my professional opinion and recommendation. Really, my concern is a lot of people in vulnerable situations that will often fall into something like multi-level marketing and with unsubstantiated supplement claims. So fall into that because of the vulnerabilities that they're experiencing. For example, in this picture, this distributor, she's making claims about the ability of the program to balance hormones and anxiety and fatigue. And while anxiety and fatigue can be part of the hormone case, what's going on hormone-wise, there could also be very real other reasons for the anxiety and the fatigue. And so if somebody is experiencing that and just seeing this as like the answer to all their problems, it is not just a well-rounded recommendation. And when I'm seeing somebody who does experience something like anxiety or fatigue, if there is a nutrition aspect of that, I make it like super clear that this potential deficiency could play a role in that. It could make those things a little bit more challenging, but it's not going to cure it. And in these kind of stories, these like Instagram stories and just claims by distributors, there is not that nuance being taken into consideration for the people who are in those vulnerable situations, who are experiencing those things, who just want to like fix it. And at that same time, not encouraging seeking out medical consultation. They're like playing the role of the healthcare provider. And there's also this picture, and she says, the gut is your foundation of hormone health. That, again, oversimplifies hormone regulation. Hormones are regulated by things like the endocrine system, various factors other than the digestive system. Like the digestive system can play a role in that, and the body is interconnected, like yes, of course, but that is, again, just the oversimplification. And maybe it's just kind of the way my brain works, and this might be just a personal issue, but the oversimplification of health and implementation of things is, I think, why so much money is spent in wellness culture, in health, the dieting industry, and how people like seek that out and just spend so much money on these programs and these supplements, and at the end realize that it didn't like impact them, or it didn't fix it for them. It will help some people, again, but not, we can't have a program, we can't have supplements that are going to work for everybody. And the suggestion of that, the stories of that, the promotion with the anecdotal evidence or anecdotal information that is selling the idea that it will work. Now, I also want to talk about the whole cortisol thing, because I've just seen a lot of talk about cortisol. So cortisol, that is a stress hormone, and that can be elevated. It's elevated differently like throughout the day. Like it increases and it's decreased at times. That will be elevated by intense exercise. Like that's how it works. That's the body's normal response to a stressor, an intentional stressor, or like an unintentional stressor. But if you are physically active, that's going to increase your cortisol levels. That is not a bad thing. That's a normal and can be part of a healthy physiological response. That does not inherently lead to chronically elevated levels. And to know that, you would have to do testing. And that is where, going back to what I was saying before, having that management, having that healthcare team can help with that. I think so many things in diet culture, there will be an element of like something valid, and diet culture will just run it through the ground and create these kind of claims and fear, and in response to that, programs and supplements to sell those based on that like little bit of evidence or that like partial truth that then gets like just taken and over focused on. Like you can miss the forest for the trees so much in diet culture. It's just like the fear mongering that creates more stress and more anxiety around health already. Like, it can lead to a cycle of dependency on a program or products when that is not necessary. And that's part of my, again, another concern that I have around the wellness industry and MLMs that use the wellness industry in particular, because of the exploitation that can be done through this kind of fear mongering and creating the cycle of stress and anxiety if you're doing health right. And even the idea of like the mom pooch, like that, to put the blame on cortisol when there's a lot of other things going on, even like how the uterus is sitting. So I just really wanted to make this video to start the discussion of this particular topic on my channel, because I don't see it going away anytime soon. And one thing that just fires me up and frustrates me is the fear mongering and exploitation of people in vulnerable situations, especially when it comes to health. I will be doing more videos on this. I do apologize for not being very consistent the last month on my channel. There's just been a lot of change in regards to my schedule with work and childcare and figuring all that out. This next month will probably be kind of sporadic as well, but as the school year starts, hopefully it'll be more consistent. My primary focus is on working with people one-on-one, and so while I love doing this and would love to do this a little bit more and focus more on it, I can't always with my workload. We'll be getting into some video reactions in the next video about this topic. There might be a video in between that, and there'll be more information regarding this program as time continues on, as we get closer to the actual program opening. That wraps up for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like, make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already. I'd greatly appreciate that. And remember, you can strive for health without subscribing to diet culture. I'll see you later. Bye.